2025 has been a banner year for running shoes so far. Now that we're in the second half of the year, the first 6 months are gone, which is kind of crazy. I thought it would be interesting to sit down and talk about some of my favorite shoes of the year. The main theme I'm seeing in 2025 is that the exciting shoes, the cool shoes, the fun shoes, the ones that everyone are talking about are really spread across all categories. They're not just focused around super shoes or race shoes or super trainers or one category like they have been for the past couple years. They're really across the entire space. So for runners, that's exciting because it means you can find a shoe to fall in love with for really any type of running. And that's real great product innovation across the industry. To give this video a little structure, I'm going to go through 3 categories of shoes. The first one is daily. This should be pretty self-explanatory. This is your typical daily trainer, the shoe that you should be doing most of your running per weekend, your 80% of your running, based on that 80-20 rule. These are your workhorses. These are those shoes that you're just going to pick up and be able to log all of those miles. Easy, some threshold, maybe a couple tempo miles here or there, workout occasionally. Basically, this is a shoe that should be able to do it all. Now, in years past, this really has been a shoe to really do it all. This year, I'm looking at these shoes a little bit differently. I'm looking at them more as an emphasis on easy running, volume running, shoes to really get 80% of my running in per week and really just build up those base miles to make sure that I can do everything else that I need to do in a given week. The next category will be tempo. Now, this is a little bit different for me, I think, than some other people. These are more workout shoes for me. These are shoes that are going to be more focused around speed work or strength work. So basically, workouts like 1K repeats, 400s, whether that's road or track, or strength work, meaning hill running, a lot of hill reps, that kind of stuff. So these are shoes that I really want for that kind of direct engagement with the ground and not necessarily for long distance running like I think a lot of people would actually put in this category. And that's because the last category, race or super shoes, is really the category for both shoes you're going to race in, and these are shoes that I'm doing that sort of 20% of training in, or maybe 10% training in. If I need to go out and do a long run with pace in it, this is the shoe that I'm going to be training in. I'm an advocate for training in the shoes you're going to race in. That's why I don't really use traditional tempo trainers or plated tempo trainers, because I just want to run in the shoe that I'm going to race in because I want my feet to be used to that. I want to be used to that shoe, and I don't want any surprises on race day. So I typically will always prefer to train in a race shoe and then race in that shoe. Now in 2025, super shoes, while they are still somewhat delicate, the durability of them has come much further than it has even 2 or 3 years ago. So I'm very confident in training in this category of shoe and then going out to race. And if I'm really worried about it, what I would do in a build is I would buy a pair to really just drive into the ground during the build and then get a fresh pair to actually race in. And with all that out of the way, let's get into the first category of daily. Now, these shoes are in no particular order, but I'm going to start with this shoe, the Nike Vomero 18. If you watch this channel at all, you know I'm a big fan of the Nike Pegasus. That is my baseline for what a daily trainer should be. But given that this is an off year for the Pegasus, we will see the Peg 42 next year. I have spent a lot more time in this shoe, the Vomero 18 this year, than I would have previously otherwise, and I'm really happy to do that. Because the combination of the Zoom X and the React X foam in this shoe, the geometry, which has a very subtle heel-to-toe rocker in this shoe that is enough to make this shoe kind of very rolling for easy running, but not enough rocker where it's annoying, gets in the way for easy running, because I do not like to train in a shoe with a ton of rocker, at least daily training. It's just a really nice combination of foams that are very absorbent, very protective. The Legsavingsness of this shoe is very, very high for me. And the performance is there too. This is a shoe that's comfortable to do easy running, though I can pick this shoe up to do some threshold into tempo. I don't think I would pick this shoe for a track workout, but if I had to, I probably could do that. But for that sort of threshold into tempo running, this shoe actually is very capable of doing that. And then when you go back and do the bulk of that easy running per week, this is an excellent option. So if I was doing high volume, as I would be if I was preparing for a marathon, which I'm not this year, this would be the foundation of that rotation I would be using in the build for preparing for that race. As it is now, this is just a very comfortable, supportive shoe that's just really easy to put on and just go log in a lot of miles, high volume miles, Vomero. Just one shoe I've really depended on and I keep coming back to. I'm really enjoying this one. The next shoe on the daily list would be this, the Adidas Supernova Rise 2. Now this is a shoe I reviewed way back at the beginning of the year, and honestly I haven't spent a ton of time in this shoe since then, just because there's been a ton of other shoes for me to be running in. But recently I've taken this out for a few runs, and each one of those runs I'm just reminded of, why don't I run in this shoe more? This is just a super comfortable, capable shoe that is very protective. There's a lot of great engineering in this midsole, but it has a nice cushioned PEBA-based foam, but it's not overly soft, but it's still a very flexible shoe. So this is that daily trainer that's protective, it's cushioned, but there's still a lot of ground feel, but not in a way where it feels harsh, and there's a lot of flexibility in this shoe. There is a nice forefoot rocker in this shoe, but since this shoe is so flexible, that tends to flatten out. And again, the engineering in this midsole just makes this shoe run very smooth. This is an excellent option for just going out and logging miles, volume running, but it's also a great option for building foot strength because this shoe does have a lot of flex in it. It's a little bit lower stacked than I think a lot of the other shoes in this category, but you would never really feel that. It's just a very cushion absorbent shoe. Really wonderful shoe. There was a reason why the first version of this was my shoe of the year last year. This one is just as good, if not a little bit better, because I think the foam in the shoe is just a little bit more tuned, a little bit more capable. This is a shoe that's comfortable doing easy, but you can pick it up in the threshold. Tempo's maybe pushing it a bit in this shoe, but definitely easy in the threshold, which is really what I want this type of shoe for. This shoe's wonderful. So I'm really happy to talk about this shoe again. It's a shoe I do need to spend more time in just because I love it so much. And I'm excited that it's still here and it's still really relevant. And lastly, in the daily category, we have this, the Asics Nova Blast 5. This is that one shoe that I think any runner could be happy with. They can find something they love about this shoe. It's not the most exciting shoe. It's not the most durable shoe. It's not the most technically advanced shoe, but it's a shoe that just works. And for a runner who would ask me, and I do get this question a lot in the comments, what's a good shoe to get started with? Or I haven't been running for years. I want to get back into running. Where should I start? I've been recommending this shoe, especially if I don't know anything else about their running, their mechanics, their form, their background with running. This is that just daily trainer that can do everything and just do a little bit of everything really well. It's comfortable, it's responsive, it's cushioned, but you can pick up the pace in this. When I was testing this shoe earlier in the year, I did track workouts in the shoe. Not the first choice, but it's definitely very capable of that. I think it's great for just easy running. This is just, again, that one daily trainer that I think any runner can find something to love about this shoe and build a rotation from. Really excellent shoe. Moving to the next category, I'm actually going to move to race. To me, the core of a rotation is a daily shoe and a race shoe. Those two shoes should be able to do everything you need to do in running, whether you're racing or not. You should be able to do everything in those two shoes. And in the race category, the super shoe category, the first one that really comes to mind is this, the Nike Vaporfly 4. This shoe has been a bit of a sleeper this year. I do not think this shoe has gotten the attention that it really deserves. It is a substantial update from the Vaporfly 3, which is a shoe that I love, but this has returned the Vaporfly to the Vaporfly. The thing that's changed, though, is there's a lot of other super shoes out there right now, and the Vaporfly maybe isn't as special as it was, though I still absolutely adore this shoe. As someone who's going to be focused more on shorter distances this year, I'm going to get back into doing some time trialing around the road 1 mile and a road 5K in the next couple months, and then hopefully I'll be racing a half marathon at the end of the year, probably in this shoe, just because this is comfortable, it's fast, the Legsavingsness of this shoe is off the charts. This has been such an amazing update for me. I'm super happy to see the Vaporfly 4 doing as well as it did. Now, with the fall marathon season coming up in the second half of the year, I'm actually really curious how many Nike Elites will actually be in this. Now that they've had a full build to actually train in the shoe, I'm curious if we'll see anyone in it. I still do think the Nike Alphafly 3 will be the dominant shoe, and we should start to see the Alphafly 4 in the later races this fall. But there are some of those Nike Elites who have always favored the Vaporfly, and I think we may see this one in some of the world majors this year. I will definitely be keeping an eye out for that. The next shoe in the race category is this, the Adidas Adios Pro 4. I've been talking about this shoe all year. I absolutely adore this shoe, and I adore this direction Adidas has been going with Adizero. I love this new softer foam. I like the geometry in this shoe. I talked about how I don't like a lot of rocker in a trainer, but in a race shoe, I'm good with it. And this shoe just has a very nice feel off the toe. The combination of the softer Lightstrike Pro foam that has, I think, more resilience than the previous one, which is saying something because Lightstrike Pro has always had really high resilience, combined with actually feeling and being able to engage the energy rods that are in this shoe, the carbon energy rods in the shoe, make this shoe just a wonderful, wonderful super shoe. Now, it is a lot softer than we've seen, especially from Adizero, and it does require a lot of foot strength, both to activate the shoe to really engage the rods and really get the most out of the shoe, but also because of the softness of this platform to stabilize this. There's a lot of micro stabilizations that you need to do with your lower leg and foot to make the shoe feel really stable, but that's all stuff you can train. And again, that's why I like to train in the shoe I'm going to race in. This is an amazing upgrade. I'm really happy to see it, and I really, really love the direction that Adidas is heading with the Adios Pro lineup. And the last shoe in this race category is this, the Nike Streakfly 2. Now, since I reviewed this shoe early in the year, I really have not spent a ton of time in this shoe for two reasons. The first is I haven't needed to spend any time in this shoe because this is a very extreme, very, very fast shoe. And two, because of that, it kind of scares me a little bit. When I was originally testing this shoe, I did have a little bit of a calf injury, a soleus strain, so it was a little hard to really put the effort into the shoe that I could. I only got a couple really good workouts into this shoe for my initial test, but this shoe is fast. And since I am going to be focused on some shorter distances and time trials, this may not be the shoe that I actually race them in, but this is definitely a shoe that I'm going to be training in for that. Specifically when I'm doing 200s or 400s, whether that's road or track. And that's what I love about this shoe. This really is a super spike for the road. This is more track spike than it is super shoe or road racing shoe. And it's great. I love that I can take essentially a track spike and run it on the road. This feels like that shoe, and I said this in my initial impressions review of this shoe, that you pull out for the fast reps in the key races or time trials. This is not a shoe that you go out and do some easy runs in. This is not a shoe that you do a full workout in. This is a shoe that you put on for those last 2 or 3 fast reps in a workout, and then you save it for race day. You treat this like a track spike because that's really what it is. But this is an exciting update. It's an exciting shoe. And I'm really happy to see Nike double down on this sort of road-going spike platform because it's something they've needed for some time. And moving to the last category of tempo, as I said, I look at a tempo shoe as a little bit different than I think most people do. I think most people would put a high stack plated shoe here to do longer, faster running. But as I said, I look at my daily trainer as a shoe to do the bulk of my easy and long running in, and my race shoe or super shoe to do that actual longer, faster training and racing. Therefore, a tempo shoe to me is something that's more flexible, that allows me to really work on feeling the ground, working on my mechanics, building foot and leg strength, and really focused on speed and strength running. So speed workouts and hill reps particularly. That's where I really want a shoe where I can feel the ground and feel my foot flex. Now, that means most of these shoes are lower stack shoes, but that doesn't have to be the case. What I'm really looking for here is a fast shoe that's flexible. And the flex is the key because I want my foot to move naturally and I want to be able to control the shoe and run in it how I want to run in it. And the first shoe that comes up on this list for me would be the Nike Rivalfly 4. Now, this is a shoe that came out at the end of 2024. but it kind of bridges into 2025 in that I think most people became aware of this shoe in 2025, if they're even aware of it. And this is just as classic of a flat as you can possibly get in 2025, especially from Nike. A basic foam, an air unit in the forefoot, fairly good upper, though none of this is the most cutting edge material, but this is that classic Nike flat feel. If anything, you could think about this as a Pegasus stripped down as a flat. This has been a wonderful shoe for a mix of easy running into workouts. This is a shoe that earlier in the year I was actually bringing up to the track a lot. I do all my warm-ups in that and do my drills in it. And then I would do some of the work in the track workout in that, and then I'd switch to usually a spike. This was before I got the Streakfly 2, and then I would cool down in this shoe. This was just a great shoe for that. I've done some longer easy runs in this shoe, pushing about 16 to 20K in this shoe, which I found very comfortable. And for hill reps, this has been one of the most enjoyable shoes for doing just straight up hill work in, because I am feeling the flex in this, but I'm also getting some of that pop off the forefoot because of the air unit in the front of this shoe. Just a really impressive, very basic, very classic, very old school shoe, but I love it. And it's been one of the ones that I definitely have relied on a little bit here and there all year. The next shoe in this category is this, the Adidas Adios 9. Now I feel like I've been talking about this shoe all year, and this is probably my favorite shoe so far of 2025. But this shoe has been a breath of fresh air and absolutely spectacular. To all my American viewers, which I know is the majority of you, I'm sorry you can't get this shoe in the States. I don't know what Adidas is thinking there. But if you can find this shoe from an importer, definitely pick up a pair, especially if you like lower stack, more flexible shoes, or you have a history of running in racing flats. This is the best racing flat, period, ever. This is an outstanding shoe. The same foam that's in the Adios Pro 4, the same upper, the same fit, just in a stripped down shoe that's very flexible, very direct to the ground, with the amazing light traction outsole that Adidas is using on the Adios and the Adios Pro. Just an excellent, excellent shoe that, again, I cannot say enough good things about. I have used this shoe for really kind of every type of running. Easy running, long running, pushing 16 to 20K. I haven't really been doing runs over about 20K all year because I just don't need to, but I've done a few 20K runs in this shoe. I've done a lot of 16K runs in this shoe, which is about 10 miles. I've done a lot of workouts in this shoe. I did some track workouts in this shoe, and I've done a lot of hill workouts in this shoe. I've also depended on this shoe as my primary rain shoe. I love the ground feel in this shoe, and I love the grip of this light traction outsole in the wet, which it's always wet here in Taipei. This has just been a shoe I've depended on for a ton of stuff, and it's a shoe that I have the most miles in so far in 2025. I just keep coming back to this shoe because it is so, so good. And the last shoe in this tempo category is this, the New Balance Rebel V5, which is a huge surprise to me, and I think it's a bit of a surprise based on where I reviewed this shoe. Now this is one of those tempo trainers or performance trainers that I think can bridge the gap between daily shoe and tempo shoe. This is a shoe that's very happy to go easy and just kind of log in those long, easy miles, but it's a shoe that has an extra gear that you can pick up the pace in, and you can get into threshold and tempo running and get into max effort running just fine. This shoe sits somewhere between a daily trainer and an actual flat, like the previous two shoes that I just talked about. So it's an excellent shoe to have really nice leg savingsness because it is fairly soft and it is very absorbent, but it's also very flexible. This is an extremely flexible shoe that allows me to feel the ground, even though this is a higher stack than a lot of other shoes that I would put in this category. Really been impressed with this shoe. I'm really surprised by this shoe, and it's one that I've been putting recently a bunch of time into, though it has caused a little bit of a problem for my Achilles, which I'm going to make a whole video about and talk about because I think it's an interesting case study in how to troubleshoot a shoe and really figure out what's working for you and what's not working for you. But I reviewed this shoe extremely favorably, which is a big surprise because I did not like the Rebel V4, and it's been a shoe that I find very exciting, and I'm really excited that New Balance doubled down and really tuned this shoe to be really what it is, a daily trainer that can be a tempo trainer, and really bridge the gap between those two categories. And since I mentioned it a few times in this video, Legsavingsness, this is the ability for a shoe to help me recover between runs. And by the way, if you want a Legsavingsness t-shirt, go to sagasurunning.com and check out the merch around that. There is a t-shirt with this on it. But this is how well a shoe helps me recover between runs. Can I go out and log a long run and then be ready to run the next day? Can I go out and do a hard workout and be prepared to go back and do an easy run the next day? How quickly do these shoes help me recover, save my legs, save my feet, and really just give me the advantages of modern foams in 2025, really suited to my legs and how I actually run. So I thought it'd be interesting to take the 9 shoes I just talked about in this video and put them on this matrix. This is the Legsavingsness matrix from the video I mentioned, link in the description. On one axis, we have brutal to gentle. That's how harsh or how nice the shoe is to my feet and legs, really the foam in the shoe. On the other axis, we have slow to fast, which is it a slow shoe or a fast shoe? And if we take the 9 shoes and we put them on this matrix, this is what we get. Now, I want to point out that this is specific to me and my legs and how I respond to these shoes. And that's something you should keep in mind. If you watch my content and you find that a lot of my preferences are yours, this may be a good starting point for you, but everyone's Legsavingsness matrix is going to be very different. This, again, is very specific and personal to me. So as you can see here, the 2 shoes that have the most Legsavingsness to me are the Nike Vaporfly 4 and the Nike Vomero 18. The combination of foams in those 2 shoes with the geometry and just overall how they fit, those are basically the 2 shoes that are the best on my feet. Now, obviously the Vaporfly is going to be faster than the Vomero, but that's what you would expect. One is a trainer, one is a volume trainer that is rather heavy in the Vomero 18, and one is a race shoe or a super shoe in the Vaporfly 4. So I'm not surprised here. But right below that, you have the Adios Pro 4 from Adidas and the Supernova Rise 2 from Adidas. The Supernova Rise is almost as good from Legsavingsness. It is a slower shoe overall than the Vomero 18 for me. Same with the Adios Pro 4. It's a little bit slower than the Vaporfly for me, and it's just a little bit behind from a Legsavingsness, but it's still right up there. And I think if I was focused on the marathon this year, it would be really hard for me not to pick the Adios Pro 4 and then be training a lot in the Supernova Rise 2 to build that foot strength to actually work with the Adios Pro 4. Really great combination. And then you can see where the Adios 9 and the Rebel V4 really kind of fit in between those, where, you know, if I'm training in either the Supernova Rise or the Vomero 18 and then racing in the Adios Pro 4 or the Vaporfly 4, that's where those tempo shoes kind of fit in between those from a speed and a Legsavingsness. And then the Rivalfly 4 from Nike is a little bit more brutal because it's a little bit more old school and it's not quite as fast as some of the options on here, particularly the Streakfly 2. That's going to be the faster track-specific shoe or spike for the road. But that's fine. That's actually what I would expect from a more classic shoe. And sometimes I don't want to be running in a super foam. I want something that's more traditional, and that's definitely what the Rivalfly 4 is. And then the Asics Nova Blast 5 just is kind of right in the middle. It's not the fastest shoe, but it's not the slowest shoe. It's not the most brutal shoe in my feet, but it's also not the most gentle. It's, again, right in the middle, right where I think a daily trainer should sit, and that's exactly what the Nova Blast does. There you go. Those are the 9 shoes that I keep coming back to in the first half of 2025. Now, we have 6 months down, we have 6 months to go, and there are some exciting releases coming out later this year, especially in the fall, across all categories. So when I do my end of year content at the end of the year this year, you may see some of these shoes, and right now it would be hard to push some of these shoes out of my best of for 2025, but who knows what's going to come out at the end of this year. Again, there's some really exciting stuff that I know is planned from leaks that I've seen and from shoes that you would expect from these lineups. So 2025 is turning out to be an outstanding year for running shoes, and I cannot wait to see what's left to come. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you want to support what I do here, check out sagasurunning.com for merch or click the join button below. If neither one of those options are great for you, leave a comment, leave a like. It helps this channel continue to grow, which I always appreciate. And with that, I'll catch you in the next one.